we're going to be working on adding and subtracting polynomials. All right, everybody in this room should already have problem number 1 ready to go. So hopefully you guys can answer questions while we do this. Okay. So by the way, what was the first thing that we distributed in problem number 1? What was the first thing we distributed? Negative 2/3. That's right. We distributed this negative 2/3 to both terms inside of the parentheses. All right. Now, if you struggle multiplying, fractions, okay? Understand, whenever you're multiplying fractions, you're always taking the numerator and you're multiplying it to that whole number right there. So negative 2/3 times 3/1, those 3's cancel out and you're left with negative 2, so you should have minus 2 cubed. And then if you do negative 2/3 times a negative 7/1, now there's nothing that cancels out. So you have to multiply the numerators together. So what's the product of negative 2 times negative 7? Oh, negative times negative is a? Alright, so it's going to be positive 14, right? Over 3, so that becomes plus 14 over 3. Let's bring the 9q squared down and the 5q squared. Now, if you were using the calculator, and you didn't know how to multiply these fractions, where you do the numerator times the numerator, the denominator times the denominator, all right? How could you do it in the calculator? Very easy. Let's do one of them real quick. You do negative 2 divided by 3. You multiply it by a negative 7. You get a decimal. Now, how do you change that to a fraction if you wanted to? Close. You do hit the math button. And press enter twice, okay? So you have access to your record calculator, all right? Now, do I want you to be able to do it by hand? Yes, I'd like for you to be able to do it without a calculator. But with the calculator, you still get the same answer. All right, so over here, actually, what are our like terms? I'm going to put on the highlighter in green. What are our like terms? Scanning, scanning, scanning. Yeah, that's right. So those are our like terms. So how many q squareds do we have now? Well, there's 2. Yeah, this term here. That's right. So a total of 14q squared. All right. Then all we're going to do is just drop down that minus 2q, add the 14/3, and then we call it a day. All right. So what was the difficult part of this problem? It was the negative 2/3 being distributed to both of them. All right. Now let's go ahead and move on to the next problem right here. All right. Go ahead. What I'd like you to do right now is we're going to distribute this 2n and this 3 to everything inside of the parentheses, okay? That's what we're going to do. If I have a 2n, which is 2n over 1, and I multiply that, all right? I multiply that by 3 over 2, and if there's an n right there, that's basically saying there's an n in the numerator, okay? What's just the product right here? What's the product of the numerator? Just by hand. That's a 6, right? And n times m is m squared. So something you guys need to know. If you multiply n times n, and you just keep multiplying it over and over and over, m times m times m times, you keep doing that. How many times have I multiplied this n to itself? 5. So that'd be m to the power of 5. What's this going to be?
M to the power of 2.
That's right, m cubed. All right? So understand, there's a difference between multiplying a 2 times an m and an m times an m. Which one of these is 2n? The first one or the second one? First one. The first one is 2n. The second one is what? M to the power of 2 are also known as m squared. Okay? So you need, by the way, you need to know the difference between that. All right? I'm going to go and erase these. All right. What's the product of the denominator right here? What's the product of the denominator? 2. And what is 6 divided by 2? 3. Which means our first product right here is 3m squared. All right? So this first product right here is 3m squared. Now what do we have? 2m times 1, so what does that become? 2m, very good. So if you take 2m and you multiply it to a 1, that just becomes itself. Alright? I'm going to go and erase these. Let's go over here. What fraction am I going to write for the number 3? What fraction? By the way, 3 over 1. Right there, 3 over 1. Times. What fraction am I going to put for this? 5 over 3. Now you can put the m up in the numerator, or you can just put the m right here, either way. What's going to be the product of the numerator right here? 15. And there'll be an m right next to it. Alright, what's the product of our denominator? 3. And what's 15 divided by 3? Got it. So what does this become? This becomes 5m. And 3 times negative 2 is? Negative 6. Now we're almost done. What's the only thing we have to do now, Jacob? What's the only thing we have to do? Scan it through here. What do you expect I'm going to say here? No, we're not solving. Say it again. Add like terms. All right. By the way, after you've multiplied everything out, okay, there's 2 things you're going to do on these problems every single time. There's 2 steps. I want you guys to write these steps down. Step 1, you're going to distribute. That's it. That's step 1. If you see parentheses, you know you're going to have to distribute. That's the first thing. All right? The second thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to combine like terms. That's it. We're not solving. If we're solving, what would you see if we were solving something? What would be in somewhere? There'll be now there could be a g or an m or an x, but if you're solving an equation, you'll definitely see an equal sign somewhere. Okay? If you don't see any equal sign, all right, then you're not solving. You're always going to be doing this. You're always going to be simplifying. Simplifying means making things more simple. So what's the sum of 2m and 5m? 7m. And that is the simplified answer. Okay? Alright, at this point, what I want you guys to do is I want you to do everything you think you can possibly do on this problem. And yes, what are we going to start with? What did I say? What was the first step? Distribute. So I'm going to highlight everything that you're going to distribute. So that's what I want you to do right now. Distribute all the way. Alright? I want the product of everything written out on your paper. Alright, what we're going to do first is we're just going to distribute. Okay? So right here we have 3 times c, alright, which is basically 3c over 1. And we are going to multiply it. Alright, we're multiplying it to 1 over 3 times d. And we got 3 times 1, which is 3. 1 times 3, which is 3. And then you have cd. So what does this all become right here? 1 cd. So you're just going to say, this just becomes a c times a d. That's the first part. Okay? Just one. Now, if you put 1 cd, you're not wrong. But you don't have to put a 1. Now, what is 3c times a negative 9? If I say, what's 3c times a negative 9? What's that product? Negative 27c. So the next part should be negative 27c, right there. Okay? That's the first part. I'm going to keep going. What is negative 7 times c? What is that product? Negative 7 times c. Negative 7c. Minus 7c, right there. Alright? What's the next thing I got to multiply? What is negative 7 times what? Times 1. What is negative 7 times 1? Negative 7. Put minus 7. to go and erase these. We got one more to do. I have a D right here. What am I multiplying that D to? C. Now sometimes students do this. They put D and a C. Alright, that's not wrong. But typically you want to put them in alphabetical order. So we're going to change it to C. Now these mean the same thing. The product of D times C is the same as C times D. We just keep it in alphabetical order. So put plus C, D. In the last product, I have a D. And what am I multiplying it to? 4. Alright? Now some students you might see them put D and a what? D and a 4. But what do we always put up front? We always put the number called the coefficient. We put the coefficient up front. Just remember that 4, whenever you hear me say the word coefficient, that's talking about the number. Whenever I use the word variable, I'm talking about the letter. Okay? So we have the coefficient and the variables. So plus 4D. That right there is the first step, is just distributing. That's what we did. Okay? Now the second step, what we're going to do, is I want you guys to combine like terms. That's what I want you to do right now. Combine like terms and come up with an answer that has all the terms combined. Okay? And when you guys have that, put that on your dry erase board. Alright, now what we need to do is we need to combine like terms. I'm going to get my highlighter out. Okay? So don't tell me the answer, but what are like terms? If I scan through this, what are some terms that are alike? CD and the other CD. So right now, we're going to combine those right now. We're going to combine those. When you add a CD and another CD together, you're going to get 2 CDs. Now, sometimes, listen, everybody, if I said, what's the product of CD times CD, all right? Then that product would be C squared, D squared, because C times C is C squared, and D times D is D squared. But if I say, what's CD plus CD, that's a total of 2 CDs. You guys see the difference between those? Okay? So that's the difference I need you to see. Okay? Now, if I say, everybody, here's another one. If I say CD minus CD, that's going to give you 0. But if I say, what's CD divided by CD, that's going to give me a 1, because any number divided by itself is 1. So what I'd like you to do, could you guys just kind of put this in your journal real quick? Kind of like some basic algebra rules as far as what happens when you multiply them, what happens when you add them, what happens when you subtract them, and what happens when you divide them. And this is basically your basic algebra for anything that are like terms. Okay, anything that's a like term. Alright, now I'm going to change colors real quick. I'm going to change to orange. Scanning. What are the other 2 things that are like terms? I'm scanning. Yes, perfect. They're both right there. Those are both like terms, alright? So we're going to add those together. We're going to combine them, alright? And we combine those. What do you guys get when you combine those? Negative 34. Now let's say you were confused. Like, I don't know how to combine these, alright? Well, if you want to grab the calculator, just type in what? Negative 27. And then do what? Minus 7 more. What's it give? Negative 34. Or what if you did negative 27 plus, say, negative 7? What's negative 27 plus a negative 7? Same answer. I want you guys to see it in the calculator. These are the same. Okay? What would be the only mistake that you would do in a calculator if you did negative 27 and then you subtracted and you put a negative 7? Then that's a problem, because now the calculator is going to make that into a what? A positive, and then you're going to come out with, negative 20, which would be the wrong answer. Okay? You guys see that these right here are the same. Alright? So now, over here, now there's a couple ways you guys could write this. If you wanted to, you could just put a negative 7 plus 4D. Alright? But if you would have put a 4D and a minus 7, either way, it's not going to be wrong. Okay? So right now, if you want to, this would be right here considered just fine. Okay? Or if you would have written 2 CD, alright, minus 34C, and then you put a plus 4D minus 7, that right there would also be considered correct. Right? Either one of those is fine. Now, understand in a multiple choice test, just remember, the thing about these, I like to kind of not have a multiple choice because I don't have to worry about like trying to match them up. You got to be very, very careful when you're matching a multiple choice because you might have these exact same answers, except what could they do for a multiple choice? Put like a minus sign in front of it, just to try to confuse you. All right, so be careful. All right, moving down. Now, right here, I'd like you guys to put this in your journal. All right, because we're going to practice something right now. We're going to practice something. So go ahead and put number 4 into your journal. Oh man, bummer.
Remember, the Force will be with you, always.
Alright, so we're going to do the FOIL method right here. Okay, we're going to be doing the FOIL method. So right now, we're going to do a quick little example. Alright? So right now, we're going to do a quick little example up here. What are our first two products? What's 2x times x? 2x squared? Yeah.
The Force is with you, Skywalker. You're not a Jedi yet.
Because it's awesome. Alright, so right now we multiply the first two numbers together. Alright, let's see what we do next. Now we're going to do the outside terms. What are the outside terms? What's the product of 2x times 5? Oh, I like it.
I can. Yes.
Who's that? That's right, good job. Alright, what's the next? What are my next products going to be? Now we're going to multiply the inside numbers. What's 5 times x? 5x.
I got a bad feeling about this. I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Alright, so now, what do you think my last product's going to be? What are the last things I'm going to multiply? What do you think? What's the only thing that I've been multiplying? We did 2x times x. We did 2x times 5. We did 5 times x. What do you think the last numbers are going to be? The last, which is 5 times 5, which is? That's right.
You cannot escape your destiny.
Alright, now, after we do all this, what are we going to combine? What are the like terms? Yeah, there are. There's some like terms in the middle. Which is? That's right. So now we have to combine the like terms, and we're done. What do you think my final answer is going to be? Alright, good job everybody. This right here, the product of 2x plus 5 and x plus 5 becomes 2x squared plus 15x plus 25. We are going to use that, alright, right now to help us with this problem. So right now, what I'd like you guys to do, you guys already have this in your journal, alright? What do we have? You have y equals 2x squared minus 36x plus c. So we're going to figure out what c is going to be. Alright? And over here on this side you have y equals 2 parentheses x minus 9 squared minus 18. The whole purpose of me doing the FOIL method video, the whole purpose is so that we can multiply this times itself. Okay? So we're going to practice multiplying that times itself. So if you would, please, in your journal, write this down. Do 2 parentheses x minus 9 times x minus 9, and then put minus 18 at the end. We are going to be multiplying using the FOIL method. Alright, so in your journal, write down FOIL method. We're going to multiply those together to figure out what would the product of these be. Okay? So right now, down here, I'm going to go ahead and do it nice and big. We're going to do x minus 9 times x minus 9 And we are going to practice the FOIL method, which is first, outside, inside, last. So I'm going to put F for first. I'm going to put O for outside or outer. I for inside or inner. And L for last. Okay? So we're going to do the first products, the outside products, the inside products, and finally the last products. Everybody needs to know how to do the FOIL method. Okay, everybody? First thing we're going to do is we're going to do what's called the first product. Right here to right there. So what are the two variables we're multiplying together? What times what? X times x, and what does x times x become? X squared. Good job. X to the power of 2, also known as x squared. That's the first set of products, okay? Now we're going to go all the way where? All the way to the outside, okay? So what are our outside products? What am I taking? I'm taking x, and I'm multiplying it to a what? Good, so put minus 9, like that. And what is x times a negative 9? Good, negative 9x, perfect. So now we've done the what? We've done the first, and we've done the outside. What do we got to move on to now? Inside. So right here, this is the inside, right here. We're going to do the inside products. So right here, what two numbers am I going to multiply together? Good, negative 9 and an x. What does that become? Boom, negative 9x. Now, some students accidentally do what with those? They cancel them out, but you're not going to cancel them out because you got to add them together, right? Okay. And what are our final last terms we have to multiply together? Negative 9. So we have negative 9 and negative 9, right? So we have negative 9 times a negative 9, which makes 81. Positive 81. Because a negative times a negative is a positive. Very good. Now, what are the only like terms? These right here. These are the only terms that are like terms. Okay? So, everybody, here's what I typically do when I multiply things out. I do x times x, which is x squared. I do a negative 9x. I put another negative 9x right underneath it. And then I do a positive 81. Now, when I add all of those together, what do we have to add all? All the like terms together. What do we get? Yeah, 18. Colin? Yeah, x, good. That's it, plus 81, right there. So this right here is the product of what? When you take what? X minus 9 and you multiply it by x minus 9. Now there is a cool shortcut. If you guys know the shortcut, you can do this so fast. It's amazing. You guys like to know the shortcut?
Yeah.
Alright, here we go. Now this only works if this is a 1x and this is a 1x. Okay? It only works here this way. Here's the shortcut. What's negative 9 plus negative 9? Negative 18. What's negative 9 times negative 9? 81. You're like, I don't understand what the shortcut is. Let me show you real quick, okay? If I said a plus 5 times a plus 5, I know my answer is going to be a squared plus 10a plus 25. Because 5 plus 5 is 10, and 5 times 5 is 25. If I said, you know what? What is x minus 4 times x minus 4? I know my answer is going to be x squared minus 8x plus 16. Why? Because what's negative 4 plus negative 4? Negative 8. And what's negative 4 times negative 4?
16.
So all you got to do is add them together, you get the middle term. Multiply them together, you get the last term. Now let's do a quick little hard one. Here we go. X plus 8 and x minus 7. What do you know my first term is going to be? Looking at the pattern. That one was a squared. What was this one? X times x is x squared. So what do you know you're going to lead out with? X squared. What's the sum of those? No. That's an 8. That's a negative. Ooh, what's the sum of those? 1. So you can put plus x. What's the product of 8 and negative 7? negative, because 8 times 7 is 56. By the way, I'm not expecting you to do it right now. We're going to have this is going to be later on here. We're going to be practicing it. But what do I want you guys to know how to do right now? I want you to know how to do the FOIL method, okay? So right now, what was our product? I'm going to put 2 parentheses. What was our final product? It was an x squared minus 18x plus 81, okay? So right now, here's what you have. You have all of this right here that you're going to be multiplying. So over here, I'm going to write down what we have. Here's what we have. 2 parentheses x squared minus 18x plus 81 minus 18. What I want you to do right now is I want you guys to distribute the 2 to everything inside. Distribute the 2 to everything inside. Okay? So right now, on your own, right now, I want you to distribute the 2. Okay? Alright, see what we got. What's 2 times x squared, everybody? 2. 2 times negative 18x. 36x. And 2 times 81 is? Alright. Okay. The last thing you have to do, everybody, the last thing you have to do is just take 162 and minus 18. 162 and minus 18. What do you get? 2x squared minus 36x. And what's 162 minus 18? What is it? Okay. Can you guys write down this right here? Put y equals this. Put y equals that. Okay? Do you have that written down? Put y equals 2x squared minus 36x plus 144. We're going to do a quick review of what we just did. Okay? So right now, what I'd like you to do, I'd like you to look at the original problem. I'm going to zoom out just a bit. Okay? It says, for what value of c will the graphs of 2x squared minus 36x plus c and y equals 2 parentheses x minus 9 squared minus 18 be the same? So here's what we have. We started with y equals 2x squared minus 36x plus a constant. And what did you guys come up with for your final answer then? 2x squared minus 36x, and what was our final constant? 144. So what would c have to equal in order for these two graphs to be the same? What would our constant have to equal? And the answer for this multiple choice problem that was on a STAR test is 144. Alright, so everybody, what was the thing I need you guys to practice more of this year that we need to become really good at? The FOIL method. Today was the first day we did it, so I'm not expecting you to automatically know it today. But I want you to start, when we start practicing it, I want us to practice it over and over and over again so it becomes like it's second nature. Have a good day.